Factorem celi et terrae, visibili omnium, et invisibilium.
Et in unum Dominum Iesum Christum.
Good evening, dear TV friend, and welcome to yet another edition of our Understanding Church History. We are sorry for the late start due to some technical misfortune. Today we shall continue with our church history, and today we shall be going back to St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary in BAMBUI, which is the citadel of wisdom, the only house of formation that we had in southern Cameroon from 1973 right up to 2024. Even though we have now Bachontai, the Philosophicum, but the major seminary in BAMBUI is still the citadel of wisdom because it's the only theological institute we have in Anglophone Cameroon. From 1973 to 2024, Mother STAMS have produced so many children who are walking in and out of Cameroon. So today in the house is very full and very encouraging. We have the pioneer batch and the last batch of last year. On my right, I am blessed to have one of the pioneers of STAMS BAMBUI, Father Moses Tazo. Welcome, Father.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. We talk about the history of our local church, in a way, the formation of our local clergy. I started in BAMBUI in 1973.
Thank you very much, Father. On my left, opposite Father, we have Father Martin Mukanje, the last of the batches of 2024. Welcome, Father Martin.
Thank you so much, Father Cletus Aka. Equally, it's a pleasure to be here to talk about the 75th anniversary of the Diocese of BUEA in relation to our highly cherished Mother STAMS, St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary BAMBUI.
Beside Father Martin, we have Mr. Bate. Welcome, Mr. Bate. You're just from Mountain Echoes, and you are not tired yet because you love Mother Church, Holy Mother, the Church, and you want that the people of God should understand very much the teachings of this Holy Mother.
Thank you very much, Father Aka, and the other panelists. I find it a singular honor and privilege to sit on the same table to talk with, to be talking about church history, when, and especially Mother STAMS, like you rightly said, when the people who started Mother STAMS, we have a living encyclopedia with us, Father Moses Tazo. It's a pleasure. I was sounding his name last time, and I can see him now. He will tell us more about Mother STAMS. It's a pleasure. And also to say that as a former student of Jopasit, church history was one of my best courses at that time. So coming up to talk about church history for me is a pleasure and enables others who are just, for I could say, they are the superficial Christians who don't understand the crux of Catholicism. So this program is going to give them an armchair knowledge from which they can sit and then fully enjoy their Catholic faith.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bate. And beside me, by my right, I have Mr. Cliff Awa. Welcome, Mr. Cliff.
Thank you very much, Father Cletus. Of course, like Mr. Bate rightly said, today we have been talking history. Today we are with history present, with the presence of Father Moses Tazo here. I think it's going to be a wonderful program with evidence that history has roots and then it leads to the present and the future. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Without wasting any time, I will move directly to Father Moses Tazo to present to us the very foundation of Mother STAMS in BAMBUI, how they went to BAMBUI, being the first batch, the challenges they had, what really prompted them to go to BAMBUI. At that time, you know that vocation was not easy at that time, and it was not common like we have it now. So, Father, we really need to know how you felt the first day you went to BAMBUI.
When we were finished the high school in Bishop Regan College, 1973. The future rector at the time, the Cardinal, came and met our class when we were there when we were just finishing. And he said he's going ahead to prepare a place for us. It sounds like Christ telling his disciples he was going to prepare a place for them. So he said he's waiting for us. And on the 15th of September in 1973, we started BAMBUI. There were 12 of us. And I don't know how, when we left supper, we were 13. But when we get to BAMBUI, we saw ourselves 12. I don't know what happens. The other person came later anyway. But we started 12 of us, the 12 apostles. And when we came to the compound, the teachers who were there before had just vacated. And the big compound was not left to 12 of us. So first of all, we had a very big compound to occupy. And we're just asking ourselves how we're going to manage up. You know, the compound was vast, and we're living even apart. When we just came, they were living in dormitories. The students were there before. So as we were coming, we were trying to partition some of the houses there, the dormitories, so that we can have single rooms. So for a short time, we even live in dormitories, especially where you have repeaters there. There were 4 of us had one section, then the other 8 lived there as a dormitory while they were preparing the place for us. So soon our rooms were ready and we went to our own rooms. And I think our first meeting with the rector, which I can never forget, was at the tennis court. He himself loved tennis. So when we just came and somebody showed us our rooms to put our things, then he just signaled that we should meet him at the tennis court. So when we met there, he just looked at us and smiled that we have come. We say yes. So the first thing he said was, we are going to make our menu there and then. We should make our menu and we decide what we want to eat. It's left to us. Then the next thing is we should get a leader, get a timekeeper, and get somebody for sacristy. Those are the functions that we started with.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Father. Father Martin Mokanje, you mentioned something about making their menu immediately when they arrive the seminary. Yes. Now, you are of the 2014 batch, within 2013, 2014 batch. Talking about the menu in the major seminary in BAMBUI, do you have the opportunity to prepare for yourself a menu, or you made a menu in STAMS BAMBUI?
Well, I would say 46 years after the first batch entered BAMBUI, I was equally opportune to enter BAMBUI because I did actually 4 years of theological studies in BAMBUI after finishing philosophical studies 3 years in St. John Paul II Major Seminary Bachontai, Manvi, before going to the pastoral year, and then now coming for theological studies in BAMBUI. Now coming for theological studies in BAMBUI, that is when BAMBUI was 46 years in existence, I actually realized an already established menu with regard to feeding in BAMBUI, such that each day there is an established menu from Monday to Sunday. Breakfast,
before I cut you short,
lunch, and supper.
Yeah, could you please give us some of the menu? Let's say from Monday to Friday. Can you remember? Let us see if it's the same menu established by Father Moses Tazo and his classmates.
Yes, I remember Mondays in the afternoon. Anyway, it's an established something for breakfast, and breakfast is not mandatory, but the other meals at least you are expected to be there. On Mondays in the afternoon for lunch, we always have our rice and beans, and this very famous menu, this delicacy. On Tuesdays in the evenings, we always have our achu. Yes, Tuesdays in the evening, we always have our achu. On Saturdays lunch, we have our conchaf. Yes, those are established menu on tampered with.
Fufu corn in the evening, on Friday.
On Fridays, and at times it occurs twice a week.
So, Father Moses Tazo, is it somehow different from your own time?
I think we had all of that. We had achu on Saturday because the women could only have time on Saturday to prepare the achu.
Okay.
And For the breakfast, I'm surprised here is optional. All meals were compulsory. You have to be there. Even if you are not eating, you have to be there. So you are sick and you cannot move out of your room. Everybody is supposed to be for meal. And the rector also ate with us. Christian Kanatumi was always eating with us.
Wow, the reality now is different because now we have the fathers, rectors, refectory, and the seminarians refectory. Mr. Bate, looking at the 12 men, the 12 apostles, being the pioneer batch of Mother STAMS in BAMBUI, then now they have about 178 students, seminarians in the seminary. So what can you make of it?
Well, when Father was talking about it, they were 13 and 12 arrived BAMBUI. I just quickly carried my mind to how Christ started the church. He picked 12 people who today have spread the good news all over the world, and the number of Christians today are more than 1 billion. And so I think that these 12 people sowed the seed for the seminary in West Cameroon. And for Aka, there's one thing I picked with these 12 people. I may not know all of them, but the ones that I saw from the rector that Father just mentioned, Father Pius who became bishop, and the other ones, and the Monsignor Galame that I see now, at least the two that I can see now often is Father here with us and Monsignor Edward Galame. I think that they toiled like the apostle toiled. They were selfless like the apostle. They could go to the hinterlands. And I think if today they cannot make that tedious journey, it's because they had bulldozed the road for the young people now to move. They had bulldozed the road. I remember even 30 years back, our parishes were in the bushes. That they could send you from here to go to, maybe if they send you, you are transferred to Manfred Parish, for example, you have to go and make mass, celebrate mass in Inokun. Inokun was not motorable, but for now that they have graded the road. Or you are going to celebrate mass in Sanaragati. Sanaragati was not motorable until when their son decided to create a road linking to Nigeria. But I remember as a young mass servant some years back, I celebrated mass. I was a mass boy with a priest, and we trekked for 7 kilometers. All the gifts they gave us, we could not carry. The only thing we carried was a cock. So I think that the 12 people is just providential with the 12 apostles that Christ picked. And Christ was the leader, just like the rector was the leader. And Christ brought the people closer to him. The rector brought them closer to him. And they laid the foundation. So that's why you see Father is confirming that the meals have actually not changed. And the reasons for the Achu on Saturday was because that was when the women will have time, because they have other things to do. So you see that if you compare how Christ will lead the church and how the church is going now, much too has not really changed. So I think that's why the characteristic of the Catholic Church will always remain one, holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church.
All right. Mr. Cliff, we're looking at 23 years after the creation of the Diocese of BUEA in 1950, and in 1973, and STAMS BAMBUI was created 23 years afterwards. Yeah, 12 men going to BAMBUI to begin the seminary, and then now we have about 200 men in the seminary. Now we are celebrating the 75th anniversary. What is the impact of the indigenous priest to the life of the Diocese of BUEA?
Of course, Father Cletus, that's a beautiful one there. Remember that getting into the topic of STAMS is because along the line, when the Palatine Fathers left Cameroon, there were some priestless years, as we had established. We had years without priest. And of course, in 1973, the bishops, being supported by Bishop Jules Peters at that time, who hand in gloves worked with Bishop Pius Uawa and Bishop Paul Vesekov, had to make this request that they need their own major seminary for the formation of priests. And of course, like we always quote the maximum elude, which states that missionaries should make sure that they train people within their own nation to take over the missionary activities. And we had established a lot of this information talking about Father Moses Tazo here present. So I think that it's a privilege that till date, or at this moment we are talking with living examples and practical examples, because the impact, remember, from the time that the major seminary was created, we have never had years again of priestless years or priestlessness in the country, all because our own people took the thing into their hands and they have held on to it seriously. We have Father here, we have others who are still alive with us, and they have continued to do the work. So I think that it has been very impactful because they have sown the seed. I think I particularly enjoyed this book written by Father Emi Tankang, The Seed of Indigenous Priesthood. And there he said that it started with the whites and the Mihil missionaries. So they have impacted our diocese in a way beyond comprehension. Like Mr. Abate was equally saying there, it started with 12, moved up to today. The seminary there at BAMBUI is having close to 200 seminarians, meaning that the continuity of the church is assured, is guaranteed with this seminary. And the priests who come out, they continue to work, especially the younger ones like yourself and Father Martin. You people have continued to learn from the ancestors, as I can put it, who left there, and they are still in the domain, that they are there to encourage you people to take up the task, because the mantle of leadership soon will be falling on you people. So I think that the impact, they are just numerous that we cannot, but for the sake of time and the clarity, we just leave it to the fact that they are living testimonies to the faith of this part of the country, especially as we are talking about the 75th anniversary, which the BUEA diocese, the mother of all the dioceses of Cameroon, is about to be celebrating next year. Don't forget, STAMS celebrated 50 years, I think, last year ago, and today they are 51 years. They have impacted Cameroon, especially when it comes to Catholicism, so that the faith that was built on Peter, or the church built on Peter, is continuous. Never again shall we see priestless years in this part of Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cliff Hour. Before we continue, Father Moses Tazo, Father was my vocation director for so many years before I was ordained a priest. I remember while we were on pastoral year, he began while we were in the philosophy 1. So he took us right up to about theology 3 before he handed over the battle to another person. And there's this question here from this pastor: thanks for the church history program. I have learned a lot as a Catholic trained pastor since I could not become a priest. However, I beg to differ with your biblical interpretation of Matthew 16. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. The rock refers to a statement made by Christ, not that Peter was the rock whereby Christ will build his church. So Father Moses Tazo, you are here, you are the pioneer student of a theology. What we are learning, you people learned already so many years. So maybe you have an answer for this, a Catholic trained pastor.
Yeah, really, Christ is the foundation stone. But when he was living, who took his place, who sat on that chair? He himself gave the chair to Peter. So it's so fitting that he was sitting there as the foundation stone of the church here. In his absence, he will continue the church and is going to be the first person on that seat to continue the church. And since then, successive popes have, sat on that chair, which Jesus handed to Peter. So he was the first pope, the first, early representative of Christ.
Yeah.
So you can't really separate the two.
Yeah.
The same as in a bishop, in a pope who is there now, can say that he is the foundation stone of the church in his own time.
Yeah.
It's an office that will pass over from Christ to the present.
Yeah. And every pope is a successor of St. Peter, not a successor of your predecessor. So, Father Martin Muka, Formation in the seminary nowadays is 10 years for those who did not go to the minor seminary,
Yes.
and 9 years for those who went to the minor seminary.
Yes.
And then before I come to you, Father Moses Tazo, you again, how many years was formation in your own time?
Now, before we came in, those who were going to Nigeria left with ordinary level and went and continued to the major seminary. Now, when we were studying BAMBUI, the bishop decided that you go there with advanced level. And that's after those 2 years, they said, okay, after 2 years, you should be able to have major seminary on for 6 years. So the first experiment was high school, then 6 years. That's 2 years of philosophy and 4 years of theology.
Wow.
Now, at the end of the 2 years that we did philosophy, and that's how we couldn't affiliate to Rome, because we couldn't finish the program. We didn't even have time to write the thesis because the program was so choked. We're having classes up to 8 p.m. Because after supper, we still had a class. 8 hours a day, we had classes. And even then, we couldn't finish the program. And that's why the next state coming up after us, now the prolonged philosophy now to 3. So for us, we had, 2 years of high school, 6 years of major seminary, and we are ordained.
Wow. Okay, Father Martin Mokanje, coming to you, your own time, you left last year from the seminary, and I hope I'm sure you did 10 years because you were not a minor seminary. So, could you briefly give us the stages of formation now in BAMBUI?
Okay, thank you very much. Just as Father Moses mentioned, presently, with regard to formation and the duration of formation and the stratification of the various phases in formation, to become a priest, like you rightly said, for a regular student who passes through a minor seminary, either Bishop Rogan Minor Seminary or St. Aloysius Minor Seminary in Kituwum, or any other minor seminary, the student has actually 9 years to become a priest. If everything being equal, ceteris paribus, if there is no delay, if there is no probation, if there is no internal or external suspension, as we could term it, 9 years. But permit me term it that for an irregular student, let me use it in quotes, for an irregular student, that is one who did not pass through the minor seminary, one who came through maybe leaving the government school, like my case, I left the government school before going to the prospective year as it is stand. The person has actually 10 years, and this is how it is divided. If you leave the government school maybe with advanced level, or with a first degree, or a master's degree, or a PhD, you have 10 years of formation to become a priest. Why? Because you are sent back to the minor seminary. It could be Bishop Rogan Minor Seminary or St. Aloysius Minor Seminary in Kituwum. And this 1 year is called the prospective year as a prospective seminarian, where you are drilled into the elementary stages, requirements, and life of a seminarian in courses like Latin, spirituality, theology, generally, just at the elementary level, just preliminaries about God and so on and so forth. And on prayer, the prayer life, you are drilled on the prayer life. After that, you have the spiritual year, and you take it in the spiritual center. For us, in the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, the propedeutic year, we have it in St. John Meriviani Spiritual Formation Center, located in Bafut. It's a year. After that, you are now sent into the major seminary for philosophical studies, where you do 3 years of philosophy. And after doing 3 years of philosophy, you earn a degree in philosophy after writing the Bachelor of Philosophy examination, and which the certificate is given by the Pontifical Urban University in Rome, where we are affiliated to for the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda. For our philosophical studies in the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, which is comprised of the Diocese of BUEA, the Diocese of Kumbo, the Diocese of Manfe, the Diocese of Kumba, and the Archdiocese of Bamenda itself, all the seminarians do their philosophical studies in St. John Paul II Major Seminary, located in Bachontai, Manfe Diocese. After those 3 years of philosophical studies, you are sent for 1 year of pastoral experience. Remember again vividly, For our 1 year of pastoral experience, Father was our pastor. He was our vocation director at the point in time he took over, and he facilitated that year. In this 1 year of pastoral experience, you are either sent to a parish to work with a priest, and you experience parish life, what it means for a priest to be in the parish with a seminarian, what is expected of you. You are drilled on accountability, you are drilled on prayer, you are drilled on a corporate life with the Christians and so many others. So you can be sent into a parish or into an academic institution. I remember, Father Cletus, for your pastoral year, you worked in the Catholic printing press, where you facilitated with the Cameroon Panorama and so many others. So you can be sent into an institution, an academic institution, or any other diocesan institution, depending on your talents too as well, and the skills that you have to equally give a helping hand in that particular domain. And everything being equal, if this year goes successfully, you are recommended. What you have noticed is the fact that in all these stages, after the formation, you are recommended by those who are directly in charge. After this year of pastoral experience, you are now sent in to the theological studies. And the theologicum for our ecclesiastical province of Bamenda is now St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary, located in BAMBUI, where we do 4 years of theology. Rigorous years of theology, like Father Moses mentioned initially. He mentioned that in their days, the very first batch of BAMBUI, that is 50 years ago, they had classes even up to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yes, it is not different with our case, and it was not different with our case, and it's not different even with the case of the seminarian study now. And what you have noticed is the fact that we have more professors now and more specialists with doctorates in the fields of the sacred sciences: patristic theology, dogmatic theology, spiritual theology, anthropology, and you name the rest. They are priests who are specialists in all these fields. So each priest takes time and teaches the seminarians rigorously. We have classes in morning sessions, afternoon sessions with seminars, and evening sessions as well. So after 4 years of theological studies, upon the recommendation of the formators who are in charge of the formation of the candidates, for a regular student, it is 9 years cumulatively, and for an irregular student, that is a seminarian who came from a government school, maybe with a first degree, advanced level, or even master's degree or PhD, is 10 years. After the completion of those, everything being equal with the recommendation and evaluation of the places that we have worked, if you fit in very well, then you are recommended for ordination. So that is what it takes in terms of duration and the stages to become a priest.
Thank you very much, Father Martin Mokanjie. If you are just tuning in, we are on to the program Understanding Church History, and today we are on to the topic STAMS, BAMBUI, and BUEA indigenous priests. We are examining the impact of the major seminary in BAMBUI to the local church of BUEA. The First Vatican Council was in October 1870, and after the First Vatican Council, we ran into the Second Vatican Council, which started in 1962 to 1965, called by John the 23rd, even though he died after some few months. Paul the Sixth came in and finished. So Father Moses Tazo, and you people just came in with that transition from Vatican I to Vatican II. I just imagine you people in the seminary and the rector and the formation team trying to impact on you the decisions of the fathers of that council. Yes. And Mr. Cliff, you look at from 1973 to 2024, and then if you look at the priest of that time, thank God we have Father Moses Tazo here. I have Father Martin Jet there. I will not put myself there. I'm the host. Let us use the two priests here. And then looking at the level of formation in 1973 and the challenges of 2024, do you think that physically, even spiritually, even mentally, it can be the same?
Father Cletus, that's a sensitive one there. Getting from Father Moses here talking, he said they had 2 years of philosophy and then 4 years of theology, meaning 6 years. I think that the theological aspect, one thing he said, they were not even able to do thesis because of no time. I think, from all honesty, I want to say that the beginning is not always easy, beginning is not always easy. But I'm not sure that they lacked the key ingredients of becoming priesthood. No. That he's still there and has converted a lot of Christians is a living proof that they had the necessary formation that needed to keep them as priests. Now, it was not irrespective of the fact that they were not working. No, they worked. They covered the syllabus to the extent to which they had to. Now, with the younger generation, we have had the line of formation that they have gone through from this stage to that stage. Like you rightly mentioned, in those days too, one could easily analyze that vocation was not easy to get like fathers they did in their time. Vocation was not easy. Look at the range 12 or 13 to 200 or 100. So you see that there is that need to clean these persons, to prop them, to really see who is determined and who is not. So I think that the work is coming up because with time, the institution is specializing. It is making research and it is trying to update people with the challenges of their time. Because the challenges of Father Martin and the challenge of Father Moses can never be the same. Can never be the same. First of all, they were revered. Now the priesthood is like something is very common in our times because we see the priest every day, parishes here and there. In those days, they were almost synonymous to the white man priest, but they were in the black skin because they were very scared and revered. So I think that putting it on the balance, the Catholic Church remains one. So long as that degree came from Rome, from the Holy See, establishing a regional seminary for the English-speaking Christians or priests who are to be formed. Therefore, the basics were there. Just the way of undergoing the formation that has changed, because the central idea is converting souls and bringing the gospel to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, salus animarum in Latin. Mr. Bate, Mr. Cliff made a point that in those days of Father Moses Tazo, Edward Ngalamen, Father John Bintum, and the rest, priests were revered. And in those days, when a priest said something, it was final. But in our own time now, you have to be very careful before saying things. What is the implication? What is happening? What is the re-change?
Well, Father, before I answer that question, I want to just add my voice to what the other panelists have said, to look at to go back and credit the Mihi fathers for the seminary. Remember, when the IJ came to have our own seminary, they solicited the Mihi fathers to give a rector. And they told Father Paul Vezoko at the time, no, we are not giving you a rector. You will look for an indigenous priest who will be a rector. And you see, they could just put things together, and today we have the seat glaring. And so, like Mr. Awa said, the beginning is always not very easy. The second point I want to highlight about the training in BAMBUI that has gone through a lot of metamorphoses is the reflections of Professor Bernard Furlong. I think it has shaped he specified two things: sancti et scholari, saints and scholars. So the university, BAMBUI should be, because in his letter he said a lot of things that they should not think that what the training they had in May North will not be equal to the one we are going to be having in BAMBUI. So all that tradition of training the priests to be sound-minded academically and making sure that he affiliates, because in the days of Father Moses they could not affiliate easily because they were still starting. I mean, I'm sure before they were even ordained, they had affiliation, where those who came after them did not do the 2 years of philosophy, definitely went to 3 years. But they were starting, they do 2 years and 4 years. You could see that before they even went to theology, the seminary has started taking its shape. Yeah. Now, coming back to your question, you see, the priest, according to the teaching of the Catholic Church, is in persona Christi, one who acts in Christ. I remember when I was in a UMO job, I think class 5, and it was announced in church that the bishop is coming to visit Manfe Parish. We trekked from a UMO job to Manfe is more than 13 kilometers. We trekked from a UMO job to go and welcome the bishop. And when we got to a certain village, almost half of the distance gone, we got news that the bishop says he's coming to a Umojok. So the Umojok Christians should not come to Manfred. We have to go back. And I want to tell you that seeing the bishop is like you have seen God. There was that sacredness in him. You believe that whatever he says, in fact, when he says, if you touch his pen, it will turn. If I touch his pen as a priest, it will turn red. You just believe it, and we saw God in them. But today, I will say that it's because of the secularism and our times. There are times they were not open to so many things like now. I'm sure that when Father Moses went to the seminary, there was no television in Cameroon.
Yeah, that reminds me. There's a formator in BAMBUI there, Father Harry Peters. He does not use television. He told us that he has this small one battery radio that he listens to BBC. So, and you know, we have this message coming in. Greetings to you all in the studio. Special greetings to Reverend Father Martin Muka, my friend.
Thank you.
And our Grand Reverend Father Moses Tazo, whom I admire so much for his wisdom. Thanks for improving very much on the sound system. Chia Gaspar from Marua. Yeah, I think you know him very well from Marua. So thank you very much, Mr. Gaspar from Marua. DMRO TV has come to stay, and that is why we are doing everything possible to improve on the TV. And I will bet you that the problem of a sound system has been solved, and there's no problem as far as that is concerned. Thanks to the Bishop, His Lordship Michael Bibi, for all he's doing for this radio, this TV station and the radio station. Of course, Father Martin, Father Moses Tazo, I'll come back to you concerning. I'll go back to the formation in BAMBUI. I don't know concerning the ordinations at that time, the ceremonies that we have nowadays, preparations, printing of cards, calendars, and so on. Was it there in the beginning?
Wasn't there at all. Even now, they have ashwabi, all those things. Souvenirs. No, we didn't have it at all. And there are even moments where they were, whatever gifts we had, that's how some Hill fathers were standing for. That those gifts are for the church, they are not for the individual. So at the end of your ordination, whatever thing you got, you just go and put it in the father's house. The Pipe will now decide to give what he wants to give. Maybe now that those things, they come from they go to the individual. They do everything they can to get what they can get, especially to get some of your books and whatever. I think at that time we were not so much inclined to do those things. First of all, the financing were not there. The Mihir had the money, and most of the time it was their money. So we depended on them. It's not like, and you don't organize your ordination. It's a party that organizes ordinations. But here, you are so involved in it, and you give instructions. We were in BAMBUI. We didn't know what was going to happen. I was baptized in Fontaine. I didn't know what arrangement we were on about my ordination. I just came there. We got there on Saturday. I think on Wednesday with the bishop. Then ordination was on Sunday. I don't know whatever thing they were making arrangement. It didn't concern me. I just knew that I got my vestments. That's all I knew. I got my vestments. Then Bishop gave us, the chalice and some of those things that we needed to start the ministry with.
Thank you very much, Father. You see that the difference is very clear, Father Martin Mokanjie, because in those days the bishop could give them the chalice or some things, but now it's not the same. And looking at the issue of the parish organizing the ordination for the candidates, it's not like that in our time. You solely do everything by yourself, by your family, and you see why you can transfer all the gifts to the parish, because they are just like a religious community, whereby it's a religious community that organizes ordination for the candidate, and whatever comes in goes back to the congregation. Father Martin Muka, you left the seminary, and Father Harry Peters was always of the fact that the invitation cards should not be printed. I remember in our own time, you told us that there is no need for printing invitation cards, that it's a waste time and a wastage of resources. Do you think it is necessary to bring those things?
Thank you so much, Father Cletus Aka. It's a very, very interesting one there. Yes, Father Harry Peter has been a pioneer formator in BAMBUI and one who has celebrated so many years in the priesthood. Father, we should take note of the fact that it is very, very important, the whole aspect of detachment in the priesthood. And I want to think that this was the message Father was trying to pass across. The whole aspect of detachment, and to understand that the priesthood is not just a show. It's not just a show. It's not some public advertisement. No. In fact, Father was reiterating an interior life. That rather than capitalizing on the printing of invitation cards, calendars, booklets with the pictures of the candidates, the ordinandi, the one to be ordained, it is rather you take time and pray and meditate and hand over to God and pray that He may permeate you in your priesthood. So I want to think that this was a message Father was passing across. But in and by itself, the printing of souvenirs, the printing of calendars, and all those are not bad in themselves, as long as, you know, they communicate, of course, a sense of belonging, such that those who come to celebrate with you take those things behind, and you realize that most of the priests will always write, please remember, maybe Reverend Father Cletus Aka in your prayer. Remember Father Moses Tazo in your prayer, maybe after celebrating 50 years in the priesthood, or over four decades, 45 years in the priesthood. Please remember Father Moses Tazo in your prayer. It's very, very important. It's a reminder that at this point in time, looking at those souvenir cards, looking at those souvenirs, calendars, and even fabrics, you can always put that person in prayer. But then Father Cletus, please permit me to take a step further to say that BAMBUI, being BAMBUI, St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary BAMBUI, is very unique among the seminaries in Cameroon and even in the world. I remember the prelates and some of the fathers always taught us that if you succeed in BAMBUI as a seminarian and you are ordained a priest, know that you will strive hard and exceedingly well in any higher institution of learning in the world, in the Western world, when it comes to formation or any field of specialization. Why? Because the formation in BAMBUI is very rigorous, and cognizant of the fact that the 4 pillars of formation, that is human formation, intellectual formation, pastoral formation, and spiritual formation, none is left unturned, none is left shallow, is an indication that the formators, those who have been sent to form seminarians in BAMBUI to become priests, are very, very much held in high esteem and entrusted with this responsibility by the prelates, the bishops of our ecclesiastical province. So I want to say that the seminary BAMBUI that we have is a treasure to the local church in the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, and of course to the local church of BUEA, as we look forward to the celebration of its 75th anniversary or existence.
Thank you, Mr. Bate.
Father, I want to reflect on what you just asked, Father Martin, that when you look at the celebrations today, it gives me goose pimple to hear, because when I grew, I never even heard about it. It was for me not something that should never come up, to hear that a priest takes his pen and writes for resignation. I think that it is the excess. We should reflect about it. I'm not in that circle, but I think that we should reflect about this, because just imagine that you find a young man sitting in church and they say that we're doing a new priest. The small envelope parish young father and just 1 million. The young man start thinking that they didn't get money. The commitment from is not there. I think that some of the things should be moderated, not cut off, but moderated, so that the aspect of the poverty, like Father Martin highlighted, should come forward and give that detachment from materialism, so that a priest can spend more time praying, preparing sermons to feed the flock of Christ, because that's what we expect from those who lead our souls to God, that they should feed us with the word. And once you feed us with the word, we are nourished. Unlike those who attach to materialism and they cannot feed the flock under their care. So I think that the church, those who are now looking at the formation of priests, should maybe try to pick out some things that they think that they are excesses and cut it off, and henceforth. I'm sure there was a time where they even stopped no celebration after diaconate, that until when you are ordained a priest, then they can ordain you. He kept down some expenses because people make budget for 2 million for diaconate, and then the priest the ordination another budget. So it's kind of heavy for me. I think that they should look at it.
Yeah, Mr. Cliff Awa, Mr. Bate is of the opinion that priests should retire, should retreat, and have more time for prayers and reflection on their sermons, and feed the people of God with good sermons and so on. Now, looking at the challenges in our society nowadays, now with the coming of DMRO TV, how many priests are working in DMRO TV, and how many priests are principals, and so on and so forth. If a priest has to retire and prepare more sermons, what becomes of the social organizations that we have, or social institutions that we have owned by the church, or educational institutions even?
Father Cletus, I think that what Mr. Elvis was saying makes sense, but another dimension we must equally bear in mind that priests have been duly formed in the whole human capacity, holistic formation, not just the spiritual, holistic formation. They are fit to run any other institution in the world or in the dioceses where they find themselves. And that is why most often I remember sharing Father Pierre Wilfred, one of his write-ups on social media, where he said Bishop Bushu told him that go back, you have to write articles. He was first of all afraid, but today he's proud to say he's a writer. So I think that as human beings we have this dynamism and double capacity to do whatever we want to do. Just like every Lent, the priest will go for, bishop will carry his Christians to Bojongo for spiritual journey. Priests also find out time for their private lives to prepare themselves, knowing that they have this responsibility to feed the flock of Christ. It is not because a priest locks himself every day in the adoration chapel or stays in his room every day that means that he's actually working on good sermons or homilies. I think that any conscious priest, like Father Martin put there, is able to do all of these things, all of his assignments, with proper appropriation of his time. Yes, with proper management of his time, he is fit to take all his responsibilities. That is why priests are everywhere. They work in the TV, they are in school, and so on. They are in the parishes and so on, meaning that they have this full capacity to do these activities. So I think that it is not, yes, that hilltop experience. Most of them do it. They must not come and trumpet it at the go mountain, at the go retreat, at the go recollection. No, they know how to manage these things so that they meet up with the pastoral life of the people and make sure that the people are well fed and given the word of God which they need.
Thank you very much. We have a contribution here and a question, and this will go to Father Moses Tazo. You have been a vocation director. I think you'll be in the right place to answer this question. Hello, good evening to you all at the studio. I am Loveline Esunji from St. Anne High School, Limbe. I wish to clear my doubt on the issue of a young reverend, that is a deacon, getting recommendation from his boss, that is the parish priest or the priest in charge, before his ordination as a priest. What if after doing your work so well, your boss decides to write a negative recommendation about you, especially in the case where everyone sees you that you have done well except your boss? We are all aware that hatred for no just cause exists everywhere. If there is an opportunity, or is there an opportunity for the young reverend to defend himself? If not, why? Father Moses Tazo.
Of course, Bishop doesn't just accept anything. When the report is written, the Bishop will look at it, call the individual and talk with him, and also make his investigations. Because it's not just, he was not living alone, he was living with people. Where he was working, there were other people that saw him and what he was doing. So it's even those who are in the seminary, you know, the bishop has the right to ask from any place what to think about the candidate, because he is coming to serve the people. And whatever thing he's doing, he has to be conscious of the fact that people are looking at him and nobody can talk about him. The important thing is that let it be the truth. Let it not be that you're talking about hatred. No, that's a different thing. If it's a question, I don't think he will go to power because of hatred. I don't know whether two of them had a problem, but he's supposed to give what he has observed and what he thinks. And the bishop doesn't necessarily think from what he has said. The bishop has to also look at it, call the person, and also ask other people who are around to find out what is the real truth.
Thank you very much for that.
When it's already a digging, it's not just something, you don't just dismiss it, because to take him back, it's not, we just discriminate is very easy, but time once it's digging a priest, no, it takes time to really say that, he will not go ahead.
Thank you very much, Father Moses Tazo, as an ancien in the field, as a vocation director, and somebody who has been in charge of so many vocations. As I've said already, I passed through your hands as a vocation director. You directed me, and why not? When you were in Moyoka, yes, you were my parish priest. I'm from Ekona, and I remember why you were in Moyoka, and we used to serve mass. And afterward, when I went to the seminary, you were there as our vocation director, and you directed also well, and we are happy. We are coming to the close of this program already, and Father Martin Mokanje, you have just 10 seconds to give your last recommendation.
Thank you very much, Father Cletus Aka. I want to first and foremost commend the effort of our prelates, those who were before, those who are retired, those who have gone ahead of us, marked with the sign of faith, and those who are in active service. And I equally recommend the effort, or commend rather, the effort of our pioneer badges. In fact, the pioneer badge with Father Moses Tazo being here with us. I can tell you the living ancestor in terms of formation in the seminary, because you people have been the standard of measurement, the canon of measurement from which some of us actually are drawing strength, and we drew strength with regards to the formation process, knowing that you were the pace setters with regard to the horarium, the daily program, the menu, and just to name a few among the litany of so many. And so we can only say we are indebted to you people and remain grateful. As long as every day is a discernment process, even in the course of our stay in the seminary, and even our ongoing formation now as priests, every day is a discernment process, and you people actually set the pace for us to realize that this discernment is very important as long as our vocation is concerned. And I want to think that the Diocese of BUEA celebrating the 75th anniversary is now permeated with so many indigenous priests. It's as a result of, like I can say, the faith of our fathers living still. Some are still here and some will still come. So thank you so much. We thank God for the gift of the Diocese of BUEA and the Mother STAMS.
Mr. Bate, you have 5 seconds.
Well, I just want to say that Mother STAMS has maintained standards from creation to date. It's not easy for an academic institution to do that. And also to say that the formators from time immemorial to now have tried to keep on the standard, which is not easy. And we have, our priests are sounded academically, spiritually, and for me, I always, each time I read the history of STAMS, I always pay tribute to Professor Bernard Furlong.
Yeah. Hebrews chapter 5 verse 1, every high priest is taken from among men, set aside to offer sacrifices for them and for himself. Mr. Cliff Hour.
Thank you very much, Father Cletus. One thing I love about the program today is that we have been talking history. One of the aspect of history is here with us. Our grandpapa in the house, Father Moses Tazo, because would it be that he were not there, maybe we would just be singing songs without any evidence. And history is important because it deals with facts and evidence. Father Moses here has attested to that, how they started, no menu and so on. And I think one thing that stands permanent is that the presence of so many indigenous priests amongst us should not be a reason for us to abuse the person of the priest, because a lot of familiarity is going on. Since we see the priest every day, we talk with them, we sit with them, we laugh with them, and we think that behind them we can talk anyhow. These are people who have laid down their lives for us. In the evening, we go back to our maternal or our real families, but they go back maybe you are a priest in the house, or two of you, tired, washed out like savon, just because you wanted to serve the people. At the end of it all, they turn behind, pick stones and throw at you. So I think that this program is just for us to, that the Christians of BUEA diocese and beyond should have a renewed stand on how they see their priest, and especially those who bring dissensions amongst priests. Christians who bring dissensions among priests, to know that you are doing something that is not permitted. We should help our priests to live in unison so that they can better serve us. And if there's something going on, talk to your priest, ask your priest. Don't go about yes, without evidence. Let us love, value and respect our priests, for they are saving us.
Thank you very much. I cannot go without taking this reaction from Father John Mark Bokwango from INDIGENOUS. Good evening to you all. With reference to Matthew chapter 16 verses 13 to 19, Peter means the rock. It is the name given to him by Christ. This means, by assuming the name Peter, which means rock, we share in the authority of Christ as the cornerstone to keep the whole church in unity and to strengthen them in faith. It is therefore not a misinterpretation of the statement of Jesus that upon this rock I will build my church. Is referring to the person of Simon, son of Jonah, as the foundation rock of the church and the guarantee for its continuity. The responsibility of the office of Peter as head was given to him by Christ, as we found in the Gospel of John chapter 21 verses 15 to 20. Thank you very much, Father John Mark Bokwango. As we earlier established that from Caesarea Philippi, when the church was established by Christ on Peter the rock, that particular day Peter became the head of the apostles. And when he became the head of the apostles, when he died and was buried in Rome, Rome became the capital of the Catholic Church, not because Rome is a great city, but because the two princes of the church were buried in Rome, St. Peter and St. Paul. And every successor of the apostle, in the name of Pope Francis that we have today, is a successor of St. Peter, not the successor of Benedict XVI or John Paul II, but he is the successor of St. Peter. Father Moses Tazo, one last word for our viewers.
Yes. We have been talking about formation of priests and BAMBUI in particular, but I also want just to say that formation is not just the seminary and the individual. I think the whole Christian community is responsible for that formation. I think we shall take one session on to talk about the contribution of the lay people in Christian formation.
That should be next week, Father.
Okay, that's very important too.
Yes.
So we are not talking something here. I'm happy that we have two lay people here. So it's something that concerns every single Christian. If a priest is going to stand, let all of us be in support of what they are doing and who they are. Those are the questions that the student also ask. You know, it's not just parish priest and the deacon. It's the whole community where they are living that are supposed to cater for this candidate who has to be a priest for the church.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaspar from Marua. Thank you very much, Father John Bukwango from INDIGENOUS. And thank you very much, Madame Loveline from Newtown, Limbe. It is with this that we come to the close of our program. Keep watching DMRO TV, for we have so much to give you as far as entertainment is concerned and understanding of our faith. Have a wonderful night and God bless you.
Et ex patre natum ante omnia saecula. Genitum novatum consubstantialem Patri, per quem omnia facta sunt,
qui pro te nos homines
et incarnatus est de Spiritus Sancto ex Maria Virgine et homo factus est
Crucifixus etiam pro nobis sub Pontio Pilato passus et sepultus
et resurrexit tertia die secundum Scripturas
et ascendit in caelum sedet ad dexteram Patri
et